Good evening. Welcome. This is What is Human Trafficking? We're talking about answers, we're talking about awareness this evening, and we're also talking about prevention. I really appreciate the fact that everybody's taking time. We have a powerful expert board of influencers with us this evening. I'm going to tell you about them in just a few moments. I want to say this is a very, very important issue. And this particular broadcast is not necessarily designed for young children, but it is designed for parents to talk to their children after they have seen this or older kids. This stuff is important stuff. The LWN Live with Nature Foundation, we are a Florida nonprofit. We're dedicated to helping people and individuals achieve positive transformational change. And we've joined forces this evening and for actually the next couple months, and really a lifetime commitment as far as I'm concerned, with She Speaks Solutions as well as Rise of the Butterfly. These are two other nonprofit foundations that have the same types of visions that we do, and that is to help and empower people and support them. Human trafficking is modern day slavery. Together, we can help put an end to this tragic crime taking place against humanity here and across America and across the globe. That team spirit is why the LWN Alive with Nature teamed up with Rise of the Butterfly and She Speaks Solutions to do our part and educate communities about the dangers associated with human trafficking. We have a great panel this evening, and so I'll be introducing those folks in just a moment. I want to let you know that it's a difficult situation to have to tell our children to beware of strangers, but it's disheartening as well. Excuse me, it's disheartening as well. Maybe a little nervous here, folks. But in the current time of financial distress, even family members and relatives are taking opportunities because of COVID-19 and the financial distress that goes with that to even sell their children or people that they know or the neighbor next door makes our kids a target. We're going to talk about that. We're going to be looking at a video in just one moment. So I want to introduce this video. This is Rise of the Butterfly. And just take a watch, and then we'll be back with our panel. And I'll introduce our panel to you right after this video. All right. Wasn't that something? I mean, that is powerful. I want to say thank you to Layla Love and Rise of the Butterfly for all that they are doing to help support survivors of human trafficking. She's doing a fantastic job. She is just a tremendous artist. I am so proud to be aligned with Layla. And we are planning to raise money, and you can donate tonight, as a matter of fact, to help survivors of human trafficking by going to the LWN Live with Nature Foundation.org/donate page. And 50% of all the donations that you give tonight through the LWN will go directly to Rise of the Butterfly. We're going to help some people. So, really, without further ado, I'd like to bring in our panel. We have a powerful panel this evening, and we're going to be addressing some really important issues. So if we can just start bringing in our guests and panelists, here we go. We have Jody Parr with us this evening, and Jason Cisneros, Dr. Bob Choate, Dr. Sophie Nubani, and we have Latina with She Speaks Solutions. Welcome, everybody. How are you just doing this evening?
Good,
Good.
good.
Pretty awesome.
Awesome,
Thank you.
awesome. Okay, so what I'd like to do, really, without further ado, is let the panelists introduce themselves to you. We will start with Jason. Jason, how are you doing? You're pretty good. The Bald Avenger is with us. You're such a dynamic guy. Tell us about yourself, Jason.
Oh,
Oh,
you're on mute.
audio. Mute yourself. You can
Sorry,
unmute. There we go.
I thought we were all doing it in no sound since the video we couldn't hear it either.
Yeah.
We're going to show that again.
Good. No, I'm Jason Cisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, as the tag says, and I'm looking forward to interacting with everybody on this panel. I know a few of you and the work you're doing, so this is going to be fun.
Thank you. I'm just looking to see we want in the stream too as well. There she is. Wonderful. Okay, let's go with Dr. Bob Choate. How are you doing this evening, Dr. Bob? How is it in LA out there today?
It's a lot nicer today. Thank you. The heat's kind of tamped down, so pleasant day to get a good outdoor workout. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Dr. Bob Shook, known as Transformational Grand Master. Uh, my background is varied. I'm a former Los Angeles police officer going back 40 years ago, way long time ago, when I actually left, just about, and uh, Marine veteran. I also have my PhD in both clinical and neuropsychology, so I love to really help people regarding their mental capacities and their mindset and so forth.
Thank you, Bob. I know that you're such a dynamic guy. I'm so blessed to know you. I've known you for a couple years now. I know that you help a lot of people. And, yeah, you're also as well with Dr. Sophie, who will speak next. Have a Facebook group called Wisdom Cafe, and I know that I've learned a lot of wisdom from that particular group. Dr. Sophie, welcome.
Hello, hello. Welcome and thank you. And it's such an honor to be among all of you guys doing amazing things with great intentions. I'm Dr. Sophie Nubani. I'm a creatives and a personal executive coach, a best-selling author of Optimize Your Creative Mindset, an emotional intelligence coach, and known as the Creative Mindset Strategist. And I'm very honored and I'm very happy to contribute spreading awareness on such topic that is near and dear to many of our hearts, and hoping to find solutions as we continue collaboration and connecting our message to the world.
Amen. Thank you very much for that. That's so awesome. You're so dynamic. I love you very much.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little
Blessings.
bit later too about optimizing our creative mindset.
Yes.
Play into that. And Latina, welcome this evening. Latina with She Speaks Solutions. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, guys. I'm well. It is a pleasure to be with everyone this evening. I am Latina and I'm with She Speaks Solutions Incorporated. And we actually focus on connecting the dots and informing and educating underserved, high risk, diverse communities. So, what we really want to do is provide awareness in mental health and mental health awareness in those communities that just don't have access to the information that's available. Resources like Dr. Sophie and Dr. Bob, as I did a little research, are resources that are just not even aware in our communities. So I definitely am excited to learn a lot more about everyone in this cause with Layla Love and Stephen. Thank you for the opportunity to be with such an amazing panelist and talk about a topic that is very hush and hidden in my community. So I definitely am excited to be a part of this panel this evening.
Excellent. We're very glad that you're with us this evening. And we have Layla Love with Rise of the Butterfly. Layla, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us all here tonight. It's really an honor to be here. Um, I am the founder of Rise of the Butterfly, which is a nonprofit that brings awareness and funding to survivors of human trafficking for different integrative healing processes that are necessary to restore the women and children so that they can re-enter life as they very much deserve to, and they need our support. So that's why I'm here, just speaking for those who are still voiceless.
That's so awesome. It's so dynamic. You do such beautiful art, and it all centers around people that are going through surviving. Are a lot of the things you did a lot of traveling that inspired you to help people, and I'm just so very proud and honored that you're here with us. Now, folks, if you happen to be watching this broadcast and you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube, we want you to share this video out. We also want you to know that we are raising money for Rise of the Butterfly this evening. You can go to the LWN Live with Nature Foundation .org/donate and donate some money, and we can start helping people. But tonight we're going to talk about some solutions. We need to be vigilant. There are predators everywhere out there. They can surface in the strangest ways, and they use kindness to get what they want, and that's your children, right? Yes. These traffickers stake out public parking lots, schools, parks, churches. Even they scan your Facebook and Twitter posts to find potential victims. This is a matter of life and death, literally speaking. Most kidnapping victims are unable to escape, and when they are no longer a good revenue source for them, they're disposed of, and many of them meet the end of their life right there. Through deceptive practices, a lot of these victims are whisked off to foreign countries and gone forever. The result is a life of slavery, violence, drugs, and abuse. This is a dead end road. Let's stop this now. That's what we need to do. So,
Amen.
yes, without further ado, I want to now go to Jody Parr. Jody, you are a human trafficking survivor, a very dynamic person, an advocate for putting an end, as I just mentioned, to human trafficking. Why don't you introduce yourself to the viewers, please?
Thank you so much, Stephen. And thank you so much for everybody else that's on here that's fighting this. My name is Jody Parr. I'm a best-selling author of the book Boss, which stands out for Breakout Silent Soldier. And I also am a speaker and a transformation coach as well. I do a lot of spiritual influencing on Facebook, and I also do human trafficking advocacy.
That's Yes, excellent. You have a pretty high profile out there on Facebook. Certainly, we want people to look everybody up here. At some point here in the near future, we're going to have contacts scrolling across the bottom of that screen for you to be able to reach out and speak to any one of these panelists that are with us tonight. Now, Jody is actually going to as well be with us tomorrow night on the town hall Get to Know. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to continue this discussion we had, as a matter of fact, Jason Cisneros the other night as well. And you want to go back, you can go to Facebook, but you can also go to YouTube and watch these videos. You can go to our website to find it easy enough and go to E360 TV. Now, we are streaming to Roku. We're streaming to Amazon Fire, Apple and Android TV. If you have a smart TV, you can download that app and watch us on TV. Yes. And so, Jason, I had mentioned Jason. Jason does a lot of stuff, but I do really want to go back to Jody first, and ask you to maybe tell your story. So you went through some difficult times, Jody. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Thank you so much. So first of all, I have to thank God that I'm here, because my story is something that I kept silent for 23 years. I never thought I'd tell a soul. I buried and blocked it. And I'm so thankful for God that I'm able to share it and that he gives me the courage to do so. I was 18 years old and I was very rebellious. I couldn't wait to turn 18 because I was able to leave home at that age. And I had started to live with my aunt and uncle, and they were very lenient. They were not as strict as my parents were. I grew up in a very safe house, and so I didn't realize there was even an evil world out there. I was very naive to that. And so I started working at this place. I was super excited that I even got hired. And I was there for a little bit, and this guy walked in, and he was good looking. And I was a teenager that was insecure. I was a teenager that was mad at my parents. I was a teenager that thought I knew everything. And so when this guy walked in and wanted to talk to me, I was just beyond myself, like excited about it. You know, he was a business guy. He had on a suit. He looked, very well put together. And so he asked for my phone number. I gave him my phone number. And I didn't think he was going to call me. I really didn't. And he ended up calling that very night. And I ended up talking to him for 3 months. And he kept me on the phone for hours. And we talked about everything. I would bare my soul to him. And I trusted him. And that's one thing that I really want people to know is that traffickers will take time for you to trust them. They will be your best friend in the whole entire world. They will promise you the world. I had a vision of being married to him. I had a vision of the happily ever after, meeting his parents. He always told me, when I propose to you, it's going to be so amazing. It's going to be so wonderful. And so I had full trust in him. And it had been about 3 months, and he had told me that he loved me. And he had asked me, if I ask you to marry me, will you say yes? And I told him, absolutely, like, yes, I will definitely say yes. And so he had told me that he was actually coming back into town and that he wanted me to meet his parents, and we were going to go to like a high profile cocktail party. And he said, I want you to look your best. I want you to, wear a little black dress and heels, and, you want to look really nice for my family. And I might have a surprise in it for you, which made me think that I was going to get proposed to. And the day that I was supposed to meet him, the phone rang, and it was him. And he said, I'm so sorry, flights are delayed. I'm not going to be able to pick you up. And I remember my heart kind of dropped a little bit. And he goes, don't worry, my best friend's going to. And he's also a bodyguard. So he's safe. So you're good. And I remember there was a gut feeling that I shouldn't go. And I didn't listen to it. I said to him, I don't know if I really want to go. And he said, well, don't you trust me? And I did. I trusted him so much. And so I said, yeah, I do trust you. And so we planned to meet at this parking lot. And when I got there, there was another guy there instead. The bodyguard was just as tall as he was wide. And he got out and he knew my name. So I felt a little bit of trust there that he knew my name. And the next thing I know, I was blindfolded. And I remember thinking I'm going to get proposed to. I remember thinking that this is it. When the blindfold comes off, I'm going to be at a fancy party. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be all these things that he had promised me from talking to me for 3 months. Except when the blindfold came off, it was a really rundown motel. And I had shared with him that I was a virgin. And I knew right then I was in trouble. And so I started to beg this guy, and he put a gun to my back and told me I better not say a word. And I knew at that moment it was either live or die. It was either I was going in that motel room or he would have shot me. And so, I'm sorry, I was forced into the motel room, and I go into all the details in my book. I'm not going to take up the time to do that here, but I was able to escape twice. And the first time I was able to escape, I was threatened. My family was threatened, and I went back. And that was something that haunted me for the longest time because I went back. And I feel like that is what so many victims feel, is shame and guilt. And like, why did you do that? And why did you listen to this guy? You know, I didn't understand at that time where Trek even went or what happened to him. All I knew was this guy that I was so in love with was gone, and he had disappeared. And I was in this situation that I didn't know how to get out of. And yeah.
So you got away, and then you went back.
Mm-hmm.
You came back again.
Yeah, I went back because he was calling my house where my family lives, and he kept hanging up the phone. And when I answered the phone, he said, "You think I'm playing with you, baby girl? I'm about to kill your whole entire family. I know everything about your family, where they live, every detail you told Trek, I know." And so I went back a second time.
Well, you ended up escaping, and that's the good part, and that's something that doesn't happen very often, is that you were able to make that break and get back out. And I want to thank you, because I personally can't imagine, but I can tell you that it takes strength to be able to do what you just did and share that story with us.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really does. And the fact that you're here, that you're sharing your story, I think is so dynamic, because it will touch people and let them know that, that things can happen that are pretty bad sometimes to us. It really can. And I kind of learned that from our most painful moments, we can actually use that as a platform to be able to grow and to learn from. And so I'm very proud of you, and I really appreciate the fact that you were to share that story with the panel, as well as all of our guests. We really do appreciate that. Very, very touching story.
Absolutely. And I want to make this point. It was in 1990s, and it was in Mississippi. Because I hear all the time, it doesn't happen around me. It doesn't happen around me. And I'm here to tell you, even in these small towns, I was from a very, very small town. Even in small areas, it happens. It's everywhere. And it's so important that, if you're talking to somebody, vet who they are, because they will take the time to get to know you, and they will take the time for you to trust them. If the police would have come to me and said, is this Trek guy out to hurt you? I would have never said yes. I lived in torment in my mindset and in my life for decades because I was so upset that I trusted him. So it's so important, especially in the day of technology, that you're very careful who you're talking to and who you're putting your information out there to. And they blackmail you in so many different ways. So it's so important that you know that to protect yourself and your family.
That is important, and they come across nice, and it can be anybody. Like you said, when you first saw this person, you thought, "Wow, this is somebody I would want to be around and get to know," and they just lead you on until the point where it's too late. And that's a difficult thing, because, like I said earlier, I mean, we need to teach our children about not being able to trust people when it gets right down to it, and it's a difficult line. I'm trying to really understand exactly where we draw the line, but what I'd like to do is go to Jason. Jason, I know that human trafficking is super, super important to you, so much so that you go and rescue young women all over the world and bring them back home. Can you share about how your passion to help young women has evolved?
Yeah, I just sit here and I get pissed listening to what Jody just said. Like it pisses me off so bad, because that, we'll get into what I do, but I think that the broader message is that what Jody is saying is so powerful, in that she was somebody's child at the time and they weren't paying close attention, right? And so if anything, I just want to extend on what she said, not only about protecting yourself, but protecting your children. I mean, if your child has been already contacted or seen or some way on social media, they have already been targeted. So I'm just going to say, whoever's watching this, just know that your child could be the next Jody, right? Because if you're not paying attention, get into their phones. Don't act like it's their private space. It's not their private space. It's your job to be a parent and to not let that screen babysit, because there's some scumbag that's out there that is grooming your child to trust them, just like Jody said. And so and then when we get involved on the stuff, and the Slave Free project that I work with, it's multifaceted, but the work that we do specifically is that when somebody like Jody has been taken, we go get them, and there's nothing that gets in the way of that happening. We've got a team. I've worked with multiple teams around the world, and been in some of the darkest, dirtiest parts of the world. But I'm focused in the United States right now because it's the fastest growing crime in our country, and so the last 2 years. We've been out of country twice, but most of the time it's been here. It's been from little towns, just like Jody's. It's been from Las Vegas. It's been from small town St. George, Utah, right? Well, if you guys know the Amy Ellis story, like there's that kind of people don't care. They're grabbing them out of the parents' hands right now in Walmart, right? Like they're because you have a kind of a colliding of worlds of the economy being crappy, the laws not being as harsh as they should be, the trust, and then Jody, if even probably right after the first couple of times, if she would have said, if they would have come to her and said, "Hey, do you want to testify against that guy?" she probably still would have said no, right? I can't speak for you. But what happens is the victims are groomed so well that they believe that their captor is their savior. And people need to hear that, right? They need to hear that. They think that it's a bunch of terrible, they're missing their teeth, they're meth addicts, and they're no, it is put together, suited up, handsome, fit, rich, or at least appearing rich. Those are the guys, and then they sell you because that's worth a couple $100,000 to them a year, right? And you just become a part of the victims end up becoming part of their product line, right? Right. And so it's a business, and so yeah, it's a lot of money, and I just wanted to say my blood pressure goes through the roof when I hear things like that, Jody. And the great thing is you're out here advocating, and everybody that's on the screen is advocating. But I just want to say, and then I'll push it back over to you, Stephen, is that this shit takes action, right? It doesn't just take, oh, listen, oh my gosh, that was a terrible story. Thank you for sharing, Jody. No, Jody, what can I do? Right? What can I do? I've got $5. I've got $10. I've got $1,000. I've got $200,000. I got a car that I don't use that I can sell. I got whatever it is for any of these organizations. if you're passionate about this, and I don't know that not many people that hear it and aren't passionate about it, but get off your ass and get into the process, right? I know we all have our own stuff. We've got COVID, and we've got jobs, and we've got businesses, and we've got kids, and we've got families, and we have church, and we have all of the things that are going on in the world. But at the end of the day, I believe that happiness is buried in service. And there's not very many places out there that have true victims, right? What I mean by that is that the choice has been ripped out of their life. And when you find a group, domestic violence is another one. I heard the same story from my mom. You know, I was kidnapped, and they told my mom, that she needed to come back. My adopted father did come back, or I'm going to kill your entire family. Right. Mm-hmm. So men are in a weird spot. Pastor Rudy, who I serve under CERT Ministries in domestically in the rescues that we do, he is a much more loving man than I am. He's just as violent as I am, but he's much more loving and understanding. I'm not there yet, right? I'm not there enough to really love on the Johns and the perpetrators of this stuff. I'm personally not there. Pastor Rudy is. And I know that there's a space that we have to work in that arena to stop the demand as well. I get it, but I'm just going to be honest. I'm not there yet, because when I hear Jody's story, I just want to beat the shit out of somebody.
He
sounds like my husband.
That's the first thing that does come to someone's mind is that they definitely want to take retribution and hurt those people. Now, obviously we don't want to go to jail for something like that. Although some
worth
people,
it.
They'd straight go to jail over it. I like to try and find a more peaceful answer, but that is part of the situation. Like you said, Jason, we need to deal with the perpetrators as well and get them healed so that they don't continue to do this. And we need to put a stop to it. And that's what we were talking about earlier, bringing an end to this. Part of it is most certainly taking away the demand and the need or want or desire, and having those people look at themselves and say, what am I doing? They just don't realize how they're really scarring people for a lifetime.
And a lot of them have daughters that they would never, ever imagine, that they wouldn't do the same thing to their own daughter. And yet they do the stuff to other people's daughters. So anyway, I'll shut up now.
Yes. Awesome. Now, Dr. Bob, how would you deal with a survivor, and what advice would you be giving to a person that's watching this that might have been gone through a traumatic situation?
Yeah. So I used to be like Jason many years ago, when I would look at including domestic violence, but also regarding a lot of the perps and everything like that, coming back from my LAPD days. Now I was with the LAPD from 1976 to 1981. Prior to that, been 8 years in the Marine Corps, and I was like, I would find a lot of the guys. Now, arresting them was a whole different thing, but I wanted to be that guy that would go out there to be like Superman. In fact, that's what I wanted to be when I was a kid. But then I would go up there because I was always been a fighter. I mean, from my martial arts background and hand-to-hand combat in the Marine Corps, and I would find and I would take them down really fast. I would find bullies and all these people, and boom, right on top of them. And I realized that every time that I tried to save a woman, whether domestic violence or even stopping the guys from bringing in women into prostitution, escort, that really didn't help the women. And I realized that after I left the LAPD in the 1980s, that I wanted to teach women, number one, how to defend themselves. And I realized it wasn't so much the physical skills that they needed, but more of the mental skills. That was what was really important. So I had to teach them about different crime scenes. Crime scene number 1 versus crime scene number 2. So crime scene number 1 is when you're actually getting attacked or any other aspect of that. But crime scene number 2 is where they actually will do the major crime, including death. So I had to teach them about that. How to teach them how to be aware of these bad people. And like with Jody, she had a gut feeling, and I tell them, listen to that gut feeling, listen to that gut feeling, but also be aware of your surroundings, because these guys is especially, and as I learned further, going into my area from not only NLP but also into psychology and really understanding the mindset, including some of the bad guys, that they'll use different psychological tricks to get into the mind of somebody, to, like with Jody, developing that trust. You have to understand what are these psychological tricks. And I think that's part of the education that has to be brought forth, teaching people these different things. So I commend Jason. Jason's going out there. He's taking these kind of really bold actions and doing what he's doing. And I feel that we have to get in there and educate young women, especially because they're the great majority of the people that are being taken. I mean, I was reading some stuff from the Polaris Project, and they talked about like the escort services, and 90-something% are women that are involved in a human trafficking aspect of that. But these women have to be taught what are these guys coming up, like with Jody, the very charismatic, handsome guy in a suit. That's a psychological trick. We have to understand all of it, including I know that even in a speaking industry, because a lot of speakers here and a lot of speakers use a lot of the same tricks. So what I want to bring forth is to educate people on these different psychological tricks with and then also the awareness as well. So I think that's very, very important. So the education, then the self-defense stuff as well. So I know if Jody, if you had the understanding of that, even at a young age, even prior to 18, understand that kind of stuff, I believe that you would not have been a victim of what happened to you. You really need to have that learning and that understanding. Then maybe some self-defense, hand-to-hand combat stuff, whatever's needed, and to get away. The people are using this all the time. So just awareness of all these aspects.
So it sounds like, yes, there's a lot of things that we want to take into account here, and I think one of the things are that it takes time to overcome a traumatic situation, having been put in a situation like that. And of course, human trafficking has many faces. Actually, it can be forced labor, it can be sex trafficking, it can be child labor laws and things that are being violated. But 9 times out of 10, I think it always has to do with abuse, and or making people do things against their will, holding something against them, being blackmailed, and then having be forced to do things that they didn't want to do.
Correct.
I want to go to now. We've got so many guests here. I want to try to get to everybody quick. So let's go to Dr. Sophie. And can you tell us, Dr. Sophie, I'd like to address how you feel that the human trafficking has been affected in relation to the COVID-19, the pandemic, and how that's even increased domestic violence, which can lead to some really ugly situations. Can you speak to that for us?
Yes. First of all, Jody, I mean, I've heard your story for the first time, and I was extremely touched by it, especially that I had recently, becoming set up on this panel, had watched some of your things, but I didn't go back enough to learn about you in this details. And I have to say, much respect and honor to your serving soul, because when we serve, we heal. And true healing comes from forgiveness to others and ourselves, which is a very, very courageous act to reach. It takes a lot of inward search and soul searching and acceptance, respect, and realization to go that far that you are actually serving, that you're being that light for others, you're giving hope, you're strengthening their confidence, and you're being an advocate, showing up every day to minimize this horrible thing that is happening on a daily basis. And again, Jason, my goodness, I mean, you're talking about respect, much respect to your actions, to your commitment, to your dedication in this kind of service, because we each have gifts in life, and everybody has a tolerance level to being able to give, and we can only give of what we have with no judgment. But if everyone takes a part of what it is they can contribute or offer, so whether it is a wisdom, action plans, strategies, whether it is offering a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen, or donating, if you are not capable and able to have the ways, tools, or techniques of teaching or helping or being in service, your donation is as equal, because somebody else now is able to do that on your behalf, who is very committed, very dedicated for such acts. So together we can rise and we can transcend the amounts, because each day by each one, just taking that 1% of extra awareness and delivery and commitment, the results are going to be a lot more fruitful to all of us. And my thought process in my area of expertise, I am more of mindset and psychology. And that is really where I excel in providing more of the healing, the bridging between somebody who has dealt with something to how they can cope today with their current situation and rebuild their inner strength and power and confidence to face life and go back to a safe space within themselves that they're able to pick up gradually and slowly transcend the situation. I like using, I'm an NLP trainer and also master practitioner. We can use everything for good and bad, but how about if we can reprogram the neural pathways of the brain and reprogram them to what we would like to have our ideal self as versus what we're going through. And as a creative expert, there is techniques such as the brain shuffler, where you put yourself into another character totally. You embody it, you live it, you write it out, and then you act as if that is you, and how would that person actually behave, allowing yourself to be the observant and away from the situation, so it's not heavy and inside of you, and you're able to transition, transform, and transcend the situation. Exercises like reframing the question, this is too bad that it's happened to me, versus, how could I learn and grow from it? And something like Judy's doing is she's channeling all the pain that she had into service. And there is a healing in that. People don't realize it till they actually start applying it. It is magical and magical and magical, because we cannot discount the effect on psychology. And there's a lot of work to be done, including the speaking. She was holding it for over 20 years. That alone, the dis-ease of the mind creates the disease of the body. That alone, the suppressed emotions, the trapped emotions, create disease that are even not existent to a reality. They're formulated from this pressure and chemicals that we are keep pumping into our body with those thoughts and reoccurring images. So how can we heal that? There is lots of different techniques and ways to do it. And even if they're not covered by insurance, you can seek out professional help or read books and put yourself in that space of openness and intellectual curiosity, and allow yourself to discover you and understand that person that went through it and have compassion to that person. Have that sense where you can be able to finally forgive yourself so you can heal and not give the power away to the situation no longer. It is not easy. It is easier said than done. But you know, this is why we are one big human family. When we all lend a hand, we can all help that person get up in our different ways. And that would be a little bit of my feedback. And again, thank you for everyone for sharing. And we are learning a lot through this panel already.
We certainly are. There's a lot to learn, and we do have more time. And so what we're going to try and do right now is go to Latina, and then I'm going to go to Layla. And I understand that the video that we showed earlier didn't have any sound. I guess we had an audio issue on our end, so we want to replay that in a moment for everybody. And then we'll have a second hour where we'll be doing a roundtable discussion, and it's going to get really serious. We're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff. And so I want you to stick with us. Please do stay, because if you turn the channel, you're gonna miss something that's going to be super important. The fact is that we want to help by educating and bringing up this awareness, and like Jason said, come up with an action plan to be doing something, because that's what we want the community to do, is to join us, and together we can make a difference. And we're going to get into some pretty serious meat of that in the second half of the show. Right now, let's go to Latina. She Speaks Solutions. Now, Latina, your foundation, we have aligned ourselves with, and you serve the underserved communities. And how do you feel that She Speaks Solutions is providing some answers and helping your communities to be able to become aware of this human trafficking issue, and then get to some of the resources that they need to be able to have it improved, or better quality of life?
It's a really, really great question. I want to first say it is an honor to have heard Jody's story and to have been enlightened with Dr. Sophie's feedback. Jason and Bob have really touched the pieces that my community lacks. Their support, their knowledge of how the predator is basically how I see a human trafficker will attack your community is not placed on a clear platform in my community. That predator could be an uncle's friend or a friend of a friend that really builds that trust, and family is trusting, and you have your Jasons and your Bob who are aware that that friendliness, that extra handsome, that extra attention are really triggers, are clues to pay attention to those who may not be as aware. As I've been researching more about human trafficking and how it affects our high risk, underserved, diverse communities, that is the population that I really service. My goal is to provide resources and to educate and to connect with providing Dr. Sophie's and Layla's and Jody's story to my community. I believe that platforms such as this provides the gateway to putting the knowledge out there about the risks that are out there lingering right in our communities. If you notice and you do a little deep diving in the research, they target those who lack economic stability, and that happens to just be my population. So it is really important to me to really connect to my youth as well, to give more awareness and provide more resources by partnering with organizations like Beauty Box, who is an organization, nonprofit organization that helps them transition after they've gone through certain situations with trafficking, being able to get more acclimated into society. And I believe that those type of resources and meeting people like Layla and learning more with Dr. Sophie and Dr. Bob will allow people who lack these resources to be able to connect, to be able to build programs that will allow them to have
Mhm.
boxing or self-defense. That's not a conversation in my community. That's actually called rage. That's called you're angry. But I might be angry because somebody touched me inappropriately last night. And unfortunately, there's no one in my community that I can even go talk to or share that information with. So my goal is to ultimately provide a resource center connection that provides an outlook on all spectrums of mental health, but specifically those that deal with suicide, human trafficking, and those that are not spoken of in in multiple conversations in my community. So right now, She Speaks has done a few platforms on
Mhm.
suicide as well as mental health, which allowed us to connect with uh, people like Dr. Jenny, which provides alternate resources to deal with CBD and to be able to overcome anxiety and to be able to get more relaxed, to have the conversation and get more comfortable. We were able to also connect with people who may have financial backgrounds who will allow you to learn methods that will allow you to become more independent in my community, which helps you separate yourself from those who you're dependent on. We have to provide enough resources in small niches for my
Mhm.
community in order to begin to build more awareness, in order to begin to have more outlets, in order to begin to have more resources, because these are conversations that are not spoken of at all.
Right.
To be stolen in my neighborhood, you're just another missing child.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
it's
terrible.
just a little different from what I've experienced. And I think that things such as this platform, he's right. Jason said, yes, you may not have, or Dr. Sophie said, you may not have the gift of being able to teach. But like Jason said, get into your checkbooks, get
Mhm.
into your extra change that you're just lounging around and donate so that we can provide those resources.
Right.
So that's what I'm all about. And I really, really am grateful to be a part of this platform.
Yes, I totally agree. We do need your help, viewers. Absolutely. We need you to donate so that we can help people that have had to go through this and help to put an end to this and to be able to finance things like Jason Cisneros traveling around the country and rescuing children. Absolutely. And I know that Jody has foundations as well. I'm blessed to be able to be working with She Speaks Solutions and help coordinate our efforts because the LWN Live with Nature Foundation is a resource platform for positive transformational change. We've got a referral center opening here very, very soon. Trying to do it on November 1st. Point is that we do have a lot of resources, and that's what I've been working on doing, building up the resources so that we can help people get the things that they need to have. The resources, whether no matter what it is, whether it's clothing or taking
Amen
out
to
the
that.
street. So
Exactly.
we got a lot of plans. I'm going to talk about it briefly in about midway here. We got a video I wanted to play, but we've got a big dream here at the LWN Foundation. That's why we're doing this, because we care about our community and we care about making sure you get the things that you need to be able to help you and be able to do the best that you possibly can with life. Now, without further ado, I am just so very, very proud to bring in Layla Love of Rise of the Butterfly. What a tremendous organization. And the things that you are doing, Layla, are just, I mean, honorable is not even close to the right word. I mean, it's just not even enough for me to say about you. I am so blessed, I feel, to be able to have made the connection with you. And you've got a lot going on. So I'd love for you just to speak a little bit more now and get the viewers familiar with you. You've got artwork, you've got clothing line. It's all designed as a vehicle towards helping survivors of human trafficking.
Correct. Yeah, I am super honored to be here, and I think as an artist, my primary role is as a bridge between worlds. So I really wanted to provide a resource that would fund survivors, because it really takes a lot to heal, and that time should be honored, because for a lot of victims, they get re-victimized. There's like this continuous cycle that just gets worse and worse. And so we need to be able to create on the scale that those who are destroying are willing to destroy. And that really means we need to come together. We need to join forces and bring everything that we have to the table and see how we make each other stronger in this pursuit. Because to be an abolitionist, to be a freedom fighter, is probably, for me, the best way I can imagine spending my life. I was 21 when I first saw a 12-year-old girl being victimized in West Africa. I was on my first journalism expedition in Cameroon and Chad and Nigeria. And so I was over there, and this is like a whole new world to me. And we ended up in jail in Chad, and like it was really intense, and got beat by machine guns and stuff, but I didn't care. Like the image of this girl was so intense to me. And I didn't know what trafficking was. I had never even heard a word like that at that time in my life. And yeah, somehow it stuck with me, and we were able to help that one girl. And after I realized that you can change someone's life, even if you can't tackle a whole problem, and you can also try and have a bird's eye view and see like, okay, these people put us in jail and took all our things because they have nothing, and like survival of the fittest, and why is this happening? And you try and look at like, why is life turning into a commodity, and why is there no value left for our children? And so that like I really, through my art and through my travels, I really just explored those ideas. And over time, after like 10 years of really processing and bridging both worlds, I realized I could bring them together. And that's how I founded Rise of the Butterfly under the mentorship of Gloria Steinem. So yeah, we're
awesome.
providing a resource, and we do lots of shows and events to bring awareness, where I'll like bring in the New York Ballet or Athletes Against Violence, or science, or even dog fairs. Like we've mixed all sorts of different events so that we can bring all different populations into the conversation, because it's a universal issue and we're all the answer.
It is a universal issue, and it is all over the world that this is happening. I mean, in some countries worse than others, particularly because of the pandemic, is what
Well,
I've
the
learned.
U.S. is the worst offender in the world right now, so we need to take responsibility. And Florida's in the top 3 offenders. So
Yes, and it's just beautiful Florida. I'll go there for vacation or retirement and whatever, but the things that are going on in the background that people don't know about are horrendous. And the fact of the matter is, and I meant to say this at the beginning, is that mainstream media doesn't want to talk about this. They are not bringing these newsworthy issues out to the public. We're going to talk about it because you know what? We will talk about this stuff. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. We're going to give it another try here on The Rise of the Butterfly. We're going to take a little intermission. You can watch The Rise of the Butterfly and a commercial break, and then we will be back with the roundtable panel in just a few moments. Stick with us, or else you're going to really miss something that's going to be very, very profound and important for you to learn. So here we go. Let's go ahead and try this again, and we'll try to do it with actual sound this time. That will help. Let's try it again. Here we go. Okay, we are maybe having a little bit of trouble getting it going. It's YouTube didn't like it going to live TV. I don't know, but we're holding our breath that it will start in just a moment. If you'll just bear with us here, we're getting what? The spinning circle. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. All right, let's take the screen share.
Should we all just do interpretive dance?
We will have Layla lead us.
You know,
Jason, you have like simple self-defense techniques you can show people right now while they're waiting.
exactly.
Well,
Okay, well, we do have another
Yeah.
video. I know that I'm not going to have to worry about the internet connection. You know, I'm working on that, folks. I've got the modem sitting right next to here, but I don't have the right cable to connect it right to the laptop. Next time it will be. I'm over this skipping, and we're out in cyberspace somewhere looking for something, and it'll come.
You can also see it on the homepage of the Rise of the Butterfly.
Thanks, Layla.
Is right there, and there's also a piece underneath by news coverage that explains more of the organizations we've worked with, and we're excited to work with you. I want to work with everyone in this panel and offer whatever I can.
It's a super dynamic panel, and I know that, I have a higher power. I call that God, I do. And the fact of the matter is, he brought us together here today to be able to share this message and help people. And so, yeah, we're all here for a reason, and I know that we're all going to help each other and help our communities. So let's go now. Let's go now to this video down here. I've got just an intermission video so I can give our panelists a little break. This 2020 vision, if you would, Randy. This one right here. And we'll take a quick break, and this will tell you a little bit about us. I have 2020 vision, and I want to share that with you now. I'll tell you this. We are officially a nonprofit foundation. We are registered by the state of Florida, and we are going to be submitting our 501c3 documentation so that we are a tax-exempt foundation that is going to be here to help other people. That's what this is about. I want to let you know that I was built by God to be his servant. Okay, and that the LWN Live with Nature Foundation will be the vehicle for me to serve others in such a powerful way. I'm going to outline to you how that is. See, God's my bus driver, and he is in me, and he's an expression of me, and through me, we will spread the word of hope, and we will be a beacon of light in the darkness. That's what this is. It's about being light in the dark places. It's about, if you've been watching me sharing the dark moments of my life, which I have drawn strength from to be stronger and start sharing my story, and now have a national or international foundation. That's what we are going to be, an international concern, because we're going to help people all over the world. Now, I want to read this to you. I just wrote this morning, okay? What is hope? You'll see this on my website, by the way. Welcome to you, Melissa Osborne. Thank you so very much. And I did also want to say, Adam Shelton, thank you so very much for joining me, as well as Manny Laverty, Rachel Johnson, Derek Coleman. Thank you so very much. Okay, so here we go. What is hope? Okay. Hope rises from the phoenix of the ashes of broken dreams. It is from our darkest, most painful moments that empower us to have the highest moments possible in life and the best quality of living. I've fallen before, and now I rise from the ashes, and I will achieve a higher level of consciousness because of the strength from my past experiences. I'm built to serve other people. And I'm here to share my story about how to inspire people who inspire others, that they overcome the obstacles that they've experienced in their life, and that they will break through the barriers that used to hold them back, and that they will release the self-limiting thinking. That's what I did. And that's why I can sit here right now and share this information with you. It's so unbelievable. God will answer our prayers so much, maybe different than what we envisioned. And that's what he's done for me. So, as a child, I was told by many people that I was a follower and that I wasn't a leader, that I was a dreamer, and that I wasn't being very realistic. Well, my awareness tells me today that I had adopted those particular philosophies as the rule for my life. Well, it became part of my belief system or my moral code because I owned that. And so I committed myself to falling into line just like everybody else and follow that leader, whoever he was, whatever sounded good, whatever I thought I was supposed to do at the time, right? Well, today it's different though, okay? I don't live my life based on the opinion of other people anymore. Okay, I don't adopt their concept of what they think I am. I'm adopting the concept of who I know I am because I have found myself. Now, I am a dreamer, and I don't allow other people to tell my story for me. I tell my own story these days. All right? So I'm a dreamer, but that's okay. To achieve my dreams and goals, it took a lot of work, and it will continue to always take a lot of work. It takes consistency, it takes determination, it takes dedication, and it takes visualization of our goals already achieved to make them happen in our lives. It's not an easy thing. It takes a lot of work. It does. And I now embrace my being and my purpose, and I'm passionately doing my best to honor my higher power, whom I call God, in every single thing that I do. And that's where it is. Life begins when you start living. Now, that's the name of the upcoming book that I'm writing, and it's also my Facebook private group. And if you want to be a part of that, please send us a request.
We let our bathtub go too long. It had rust in it. It had deep pitting in it. There were chips. I, quite frankly, thought it was unrepairable.
Total Coatings is a family-owned and operated bathtub and shower refinishing company. We've been around since 2006, but we use a exclusive non-toxic porcelain coating that was developed over 60 years ago by a franchise in California. So the product is very well established. We refinish bathtubs, showers, wall tile, countertops, and even sinks. Customers want to know what makes our product different, and that's, of course, the exclusive non-toxic porcelain. We also don't acid etch the surface, so you don't have to leave your home because of noxious fumes.
I was completely and utterly shocked. It looked like a brand new bathtub. I would recommend Total Coatings to anybody.
Well, we want to thank you very much for sponsoring this show this evening. Thank you very much, Total Coatings. And we appreciate what you do to transform those bathtubs and give them new life. We're talking about helping other people today on this show to have a brand new life as well, and as well to prevent any harm from coming to them. Human trafficking is a serious crime. We want to put the people that are doing this and facilitating this, because there's three different areas with respect to human trafficking. One, let me, if I can just get to the right notes here, I'll see it, is the facilitator. Okay, it's the act, excuse me. So that's the recruitment part of this, or the transportation, or the transferring or harboring of persons. Okay, this is what child trafficking is. The means, use of threat, use of force, coercion, abduction, deception, abuse of power or vulnerability, or giving or paying benefits. And the purpose of all of this is to exploit the position of others, sexual exploitation, forced labor, slavery, and a removal even of your bodily organs. There's a lot involved in human trafficking. It spans the world, over 40 million cases. And you know what? It's probably way higher than that. Now, what I'd like to do is turn this broadcast over to the point where we are having a round table. We tried to run that video for Rise of the Butterfly. Remember that you can go to laylaloveart.com and see that video and see her artwork. We are trying to raise funds today. Please do, if you can do it financially, we want you to donate to the LWN Foundation, which is in turn going to donate to Rise of the Butterfly. We support other organizations. That is one of the dreams of the LWN Live with Nature Foundation, is to raise money to not only have our own transformational life services, but as well to support other nonprofit foundations. And that's what we're doing tonight with Rise of the Butterfly and She Speaks Solutions. So I'd like to again thank very much Layla with Rise of the Butterfly, and as well Latina with She Speaks Solutions. And so it's a serious situation out there. Now, I think what I would do is want to go to Layla, because I think the important factor here is that we want to start talking about, we won't get to prevention yet. I'll get to prevention in a moment. But what we want to do is talk about the support of people that have survived this type of just a traumatic, life-threatening experience with Layla. Because Layla, you are trying to be involved with an organization. You're there in Hawaii that is going to help the survivors, because they do need emotional support, mental support. We talked earlier about it was brought up about suicide. I'm sure that suicide enters the realm here, which leads to as well mental health situations. But all of these things can be overcome. Like I said, it takes a ton of work. But what are you doing? Tell us about this, Layla. You're trying to coordinate here on this care center.
Yeah, absolutely. In learning about all the different areas of trafficking, which are all need more attention and all need more funding, this is just an area that we need to bring awareness to, period. Like Jason and other people reiterated, this is a crime that's black and white. Like, anyone who thinks human trafficking is okay, there's something very sick and very, very wrong with them. So we as the advocates have to band together, which could be all of humanity. And whether we need recovery programs for sure, and I think as well to negate the problem, we also need to do programs in prison and with the male population who probably were victimized at some point, or the Johns have been so into capitalism that they forget that human beings have preciousness beyond a money exchange. So I think we're working now with Pearl Haven, which is in Oahu. We're going to be donating to them, but and they're an integrative health recovery center for survivors. But we're looking to do this with a number of different nonprofits, and also we're currently creating a database of professionals who are life coaches, who are therapists, who do trauma release work, who maybe do financial advising, all different sorts of resources. And coming up for 2021, we'll be releasing all those resources as a free for survivors to sign up for. So we're trying to have direct resources available through our network. So yeah, people can donate financially, they can donate with bringing awareness, they can donate services. There's so many people in need that I think we all have something to give. And man, these people deserve it. like
Yes,
just
the humors of it.
the horrors of it, and we're here in this world to do service. Like, what's the point of your life if you're not somehow improving the world? So I think it's a beautiful thing, and that's why I try and bring art and beauty and strength, redemption, transformation, all the elements of hope and reclaiming your life. And you know, you can be, scars can turn into tattoos of strength, and like that's what the art principle is. It's like, how do we alchemicalize this horror and allow yourself to live freely, like truly freely? And what does that mean? So yeah, we it's just such a privilege. You know, they say the meek shall inherit the earth. Like, there's a wisdom, and like when she speaks, there's, you know, some of the smartest minds of our generation can't fail. Like, diamonds are also made under pressure. And so learning to reassess our idea of value and our idea of what it means, because a lot of these perpetrators are doctors or lawyers or officials or elite, and they're the ones that we're putting on the cover of Forbes magazine and celebrating, when it's like backwards and inside out. And so we need to get grounded and get real about that.
Exactly.
The hero worship is all backwards. So these are my heroes.
I think that I have a panel of heroes, folks. Absolutely 100%. I am blessed to be around them and certainly honored to have them with us tonight on what is human trafficking. We've been talking about some answers. We're talking about raising the awareness, and we're talking as well about prevention. And I'd like to make this statement here. We know that there's people like Jeffrey Epstein out there that have been big players in this human trafficking, because this is happening at some pretty high level places, and it's not really making the news, and a lot of people are getting away with literal murder, and so, you know, what needs to be done here to expose these criminals? And I think, Jason, you can maybe address this, and then the rest of the panel can speak up then after you're done speaking. Tell us about what we need to do to put these guys behind bars. What can we do?
Thanks for the question. I mean, the question is fantastic. I'm going to come at it probably from a little bit of a different angle, because look, you know, I get asked about this a lot, and I operate as a free man with sacred rage, you know, and that's my being, right? And what that means is what does being a free person mean in the first place? Like, this is for your viewers, right? The job of all of us that are on the screen, as Dr. Sophie said really clearly, we all have our gifts and we're in the fight, right? And we all have our specific niche of where we're in the fight. And everybody that's watching this or that may hear this, your question is, what is human trafficking? What can you do about it? And what can we do to put these guys behind bars? That leaves the watcher, and that leaves a lot of people that are out there. I do fundraisers, and we do all kinds of stuff from different angles. But at the end of the day, the question left in everybody's mind is, what do I do? Right? What can I do? This is a horrific problem. This is a big challenge for us. What can I do as the individual? And I'm here to say that get free, right? Freedom. We have the Slave Free Project. That's what the one that we're working on. And that is set it. When you think about the word free, that means, how do you set yourself free? The person who's watching this needs to go look in the mirror and look themselves deep in the soul and say, I've got to get out of this state of inertia. Because if I'm operating at my highest level, and you have people on here that can help you do that, right? But if I'm operating at my highest level, then I have added myself to the collective of service, the collective of love, the collective of God Almighty, the power of whatever religion you happen to believe in, and you bring that to bear by bringing yourself to the fight at your highest level. And we have reached a place in our communities, I know certainly here in the United States, around the world, where it has become popular to be a victim, right? And it's become popular to be a victim when you're not actually a victim. And this is where I get angry, where some people try to call me controversial. What I'm telling you is, if you think you're yourself a victim, and you are not under the domestic violence scenario where you're being held prisoner in your own home, if you are not a child or a young girl or a young boy that is being held captive by someone, if you're not in a village somewhere that has been being trapped by people who want to control you through food, if you're not in that scenario, you're watching this on a television, you're watching this on a cell phone, you have a job, you have a roof over your head, you have a car to drive, you are not a victim. You are a victor. You are someone who has more power than anybody than you can possibly imagine. All you have to do is light that soul on fire and get to work being the best you can be. That's how you're going to set people free. Right? And we have people that sit back and we say, what do we do with the victims? We got to let people know that their worth. Right? What is their worth? If Jody knew her worth and knew what she was capable of in this world, would she have made the same decisions? Would that guy have been able to come in there and sweet talk her because she saw her value in his eyes, not through her own eyes, not through her own soul, not through her own heart? Right? She saw her value because it was external from her. The only value we're ever going to bring to the game in this entire world is not who we know, where we live, what we drive, how much money we got in the bank. It's going to be us, and that's eternal. Oh, I lost sound.
Me too.
Stephen, we can't hear you, brother. So
before have the mic on, I promise you that part.
Like, I'll keep talking.
Amen.
Look, and you hit some points, Faith, and I was like, that was awesome. That was powerful. And it really touches my communities because we don't see the self-worth. We struggle with even hearing the positivity. We're too busy dealing with the anxiety of just being in the skin that we're in and walking out the door. So when you said what you just said, I was like, I really hope my people can hear his words and understand the value behind it. So not to cut you off, but you really, really touched me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I loved your clap back earlier.
Get the money out.
That money. Get the wallet out. But it's really, we can move on here, but I really want to leave the point in everybody that's watching this, because that's the point of your show. That's a point of doing these panels. That's a point of doing why everybody here is doing the philanthropic work that they're doing, why we have fundraisers, why we do the stuff that we do, is to create an environment for when the person watching this knows that their worth and that their outcome in life, everybody is seeking this thing called freedom, right? And if your gift is a business and you could make more money that could support one of these charities, then by God, be the best business owner you possibly can. Right? If your job and you're called in to be an artist, if you're called to be a musician, if you're called to do whatever it is that you do, what I'm telling you is that call, that thing in your heart that makes your heart beat faster, where you're like, well, I got to pay the rent, I got to do this. You will always be resourced. And I learned this from Pastor Rudy. I learned it from every mission I've ever been on undercover. I've learned it in the domestic violence world. I've learned it in the feeding people, is that God will resource you to your level of commitment of believing what he or whatever it is that you believe put in your heart in the first place. Stop hiding. You are a badass. Get to work.
That's good.
Yes, I love that. That's so awesome, because we all have these seeds of greatness within us, and it's just a matter of nurturing those seeds, and it doesn't matter the things that we've experienced or done in the end, because that's really not, I believe, who we are. We are love. I believe that firmly. I believe
and
that
we're stuck in inertia. We're stuck in inertia. If you feel like you're stuck in inertia, it's because you're not serving hard enough. You're not giving enough. You're not going out and getting into that creates momentum when you're serving, not when you're serving yourself, when you're serving other people.
Right.
There's just no greater reward or feeling that you can possibly imagine than when you're helping people. And I know that My God, he answers our prayers way bigger than what we would ever expect, and we'll be doing things that we never even imagined. But all we have to do is start with that thought and then put an action plan to that thought. And that's what it takes. Just like Jason says, it doesn't matter what we do. Everybody has their part, but together as a team, yeah, we make it come together. And that's the important factor. I'd like to go to Dr. Sophie. I really would. What are you thinking about that, Dr. Sophie? Sophie, isn't that powerful?
Oh, now
you need
she's
to
on
turn
mute.
your-
I want to hear every word you say, Dr. Sophie. Get off mute.
It's amazing things how when these microphones are turned off, you can't hear us. Right? Yeah, right. Okay, you're good to go now, I think.
No, it's on her end.
Oh, you got to take it off on your end, apparently. The beauty of live TV, I tell you what.
Yeah, no, the
I love it.
anticipation and the waiting for me to speak creates more curiosity. So I guess by now everybody's actually ready for me to talk.
Right. Facebook
I did it on
has things
purpose
watching
now.
so they can read your lips and know exactly what you're saying.
Another good skill to have, right?
Yes.
is being able to communicate in many different ways. And
Exactly.
it's actually, one of the 21st century's highest skills in demand is communication, collaboration, and convergent thinking. And I would add divergent thinking to that. Because when people hear things and they're delivered to be more empowered, encouraged, uplifted, if they don't have a process, they can get lost, especially when they are depressed and anxious and so forth. They feel hopeless and they feel that they can't see clearly. And so providing those type of processes is very, very helpful and useful as well. Layla, I love what you're doing because we have become a society that's so focused on entertainment and not enlightenment. And when we can bring entertainment with enlightenment, you captured most of your people who are not patient enough to read or to go to lectures or to go to masses or to go to help. But now you're providing the language of what the masses are really in demand for. They want to be entertained. So how about shifting the way we are entertaining with purposefulness and meaning to enlightenment? And I think that would really provide a lot of more awareness with joy on parties that are receiving it. And that's going to create a higher frequency vibrating in a community as an effort. It's more fun. It's more fun if we're all working towards a very painful topic, but if we can laugh together while we're doing that. So Jason is not as exhausted. So, Stephen, who's behind the camera, is not as drained, but we can charge of each other with that kind of knowing that our purpose is what we're trying to meet and our calling to fulfill, bringing more meaning to our actions. And that would definitely make the whole journey a lot smoother and we arrive faster to our outcome, desired outcomes. So that would be my input.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, that does deserve a clap. I tell you, Dr. Sophie, you are so awesome, so intelligent. I mean, and you got this new book out to optimize your creative mindset. It's like a serious manual. Oh my goodness. It's like reading it is like, wow. I'm taking a college course here about how to think.
Right? It is a big book. That's so true.
And it's only the first, and you got more coming. That's so awesome. Yeah. We'll make sure that you mention that at the end here, because I'm going to give everybody a moment at towards the end here to just promote themselves, tell them how people can reach out and talk to them, and what how they can talk to you, because we've got a great crew here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go back to Jody. Jody, your story is so moving, and it's honestly, it's hard not to tear up, because I can't imagine personally, but what I can say is that I just am so grateful that you have that strength to talk about it, and that you bounce back, and you're the example that in fact you can get your life back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I give all glory to God for that, because right after this happened to me, I went into every way of self medication that I could figure out, from drugs to alcohol to men, like just anything that would numb that feeling of what I had been through, the trauma that I had been through. And I think it's so important that we know, as Jason mentioned, we know our worth and who we are, because I, for so long, felt like damaged goods and ended up in relationships with men that made me feel like even more damaged goods. I ended up in sexually abusive relationships, physically, mentally, because of what I had been through, because I felt like I wasn't good enough to be with a good man because of what I had been through. So it's so important to know that you are worth it and that you're special, and that it doesn't matter what you have been through. You have to stop being a victim and you have to start being a victor. And I had to take myself out of that motel room. I had to take myself out of that place with that gun to my head. I had to take myself out of that place with what happened to me. And by doing that, I had to forgive the man who did it to me. And that's one of the most difficult things in the world to do, is to forgive someone that you hate so much.
Right.
But by doing that, I was able to step into my purpose.
That's it. And forgiveness had a big part to do with that, obviously. You know, what I'd like to do now is I'm just going to turn the discussion to solutions for the viewers. Okay. We appreciate everybody as you've been there. I know that we've had several viewers that have stuck with us. Thank you so very much. Now, what we're going to talk about is, how should parents convey an effective message to their children or to warn them about the dangers of human trafficking? Okay, so let's start with Layla. Layla, can you address? Oh, we have Dr. Bob back. How awesome is that? Hello.
Yes, so I had to go with my MacBook Pro because my other computer wasn't booting up.
Excellent. Why don't we start with you then? Thanks for coming back. We appreciate you. You've got great wisdom, and I know that you also stood there on the law enforcement side to help people as well. All right. So the question is this. I don't know if you heard it, Dr. Bob, or not, but I'll repeat it again. We're going to try and focus the remainder of the show on this area here, and that is the solutions and the things that the parents and other people should be on or aware of to be able to help prevent it from happening to, maybe if you're younger, to you, or to your children, or to the neighbor's children. And I think I even remember something about Jason saying an important thing is to go next door and get to know your neighbor, introduce yourself, give your phone number to them, let them know if something happens, they can call you. You know, you're there for them. We need to love our neighbors, absolutely 100%, and get to know each other instead of ignore each other. So get to know your neighbor, folks. So how should parents convey an effective message to their children to warn them about the dangers of human trafficking, Dr. Bob?
Yeah, great question. And I like the aspect of really getting to know your neighbors, because that used to be something that was very common. If we go back decades ago, people really had neighborhoods and families knew each other and everything. So we definitely need to go back to that. Regarding the aspect of was called stranger danger, things like that, and I don't want to like freak people out and tell them that every stranger is dangerous, because we could be strangers to some kids as well, but there's a lot of good people here. No, it's really important to keep what I call your radar up. And one of the things that years ago, even uh, having been in the Marine Corps and combat, and also with the LAPD, is that we had a thing called situational awareness. So we were really scan the area, and if something seems out of place, and then you need to really trust your gut feeling. You know, I think about Jody, and she had an amazing gut feeling that she didn't really trust. So go back to trust that, especially if you're a parent and you start developing more of this awareness. but also teach your kids to start to develop that as well. That means that both parents and kids need to be educated. Need to be educated on who are the potential what I call bad guys in a sense. You know, that's I know that can be an umbrella, but just we're going to use that. So these bad guys, they're going to project certain things out there, and those people that have been victims of different kind of crimes, they learn to develop that after a while. But it's imperative that you start recognizing before that ever happens. And I'm going to suggest that I know that in Los Angeles we have neighborhood watch. So I don't know in the small towns, Jody, you have something like a neighborhood watch?
So I do where I live now. We have young kids around here, and I'm always, telling them you have to make sure that, if there's a van or a vehicle that looks like it doesn't belong, we always make sure that we report that to the police. And actually, we have a system set up to where if a stolen vehicle comes in, it immediately tracks that back to the police station to tell them that there is a stolen vehicle in the area. So to answer your question, yes. Now, the town that I was in when it happened to me, no, because back then human trafficking wasn't even a thing. And so a lot of traffickers lure kids in with candy or puppies, but the teenagers get lured in with the Louis Vuitton purses and the Christian Louboutin shoes. And, because it's about keeping up with the Kardashians, or you want that lifestyle. And so they use that in order to lure victims in. So it's important that parents tell your kids materialistic things are not that important. And, you need to make sure who you're talking to and that person is a safe person. So it's super important that they know that.
Yeah. I know that, Stephen, you talked about like the media not being involved like they should. And I would concur with that. On top of that, a lot of people get caught up in terms of the media, the sensationalism. And as Jody put it, the Kardashians, those reality TV shows are huge. People are caught up in that. Why not have something where we start educating people to not fall for those Louis Vuitton purses and shoes and things like that, and instead find something that's even more meaningful. Something that's really going to help them. Now that's going to take education, and it's going to take. If we think about young kids, like teenagers, they're not going to think the same way as us. So we need to go to their level and educate them at that level. Make it fun for them, but also something that's going to want them to learn to understand that this guy over here that's offering me this is not in it for my best interest. Why is he even offering this kind of stuff? They need to start thinking in terms of that way, and parents need to as well. So I think what Jody mentioned is very, very important. Don't fall for these external kind of stuff, and parents don't need to be teaching their children that stuff either.
Well, there's a lot of peer pressure, I'm certain, with the younger set, and I remember it as a kid too, and I see it in my granddaughter. And the point is that it's about impressing your peers and making sure that you fit in. And I've got this, I have to look this way to get people to like me. And so that's kind of why I put up that message earlier. It's about, and it's not for everybody. When I got to a point that I didn't have to worry about pleasing other people, because most of my life, that's what I did. I was a people pleaser. I did whatever it took for you to like me, right? And the more I did, the more I figured you'd like me. But what I recognized is if I took care of myself, learned to love myself first, then I could be good for other people in a true, honest fashion. And so I didn't have to also accept other people's opinions of who I am. because that wasn't really necessarily who I was. And I had to go from being a follower to a leader, and we all have the ability to be leaders. And that's the thing. We can all be leaders, but it takes work.
Stephen, can I add just one point to that? Because
Yeah.
one of the things that the company that I own, I built a private equity firm, a bunch of businesses, a bunch of employees, and then we also have a consulting company where we help companies, right? And in those companies, when we go in and we talk to the business owners, one of the things that they're completely mistaken on is, why are they building their business in the first place, right? Why does somebody have a job in the first place, right? Because freedom has a financial component to it, no matter whether you like it or you don't like it. Right. If Latina, I want to talk to you more after this. But one of the things that we're looking for is that if people understand what the end of the journey that they're seeking is in the first place, then they can properly go about it. Right. So what we're talking about here is really teaching people not the Kardashian way. What have the Kardashians done? They've gotten wealthy. Right? Wealthy gives you a voice. Wealthy gives you freedom. Wealthy gives you choice. Wealth is not rich. Wealth is building the knowledge of how to have sustainable, predictable. I'm a kid that didn't graduate from high school. My adopted father went to prison when I was 17 for attempted murder of me and my mom. Right? That was all gangster stuff. And so learning about wealth is one of those things that is not taught. We're taught to get a good job. We're taught to, and then you end up with the Louis Vuitton, like you were just saying, the Louis Vuitton bag. Do you know that if you put that money into a CD or something that produced a return on your investment, that it's going to make you could buy Louis Vuitton, the company, if you learned those principles, right? And I'm a kid that didn't graduate, right? I'm a kid that came from a very, very poor family, lots of abuse, all of the stuff. And when you teach wealth, now those kids they understand the concept of freedom. And you don't get caught up in that nonsense of driving the right car, living in the right zip code. I tried that and I went bankrupt 3 times in a row. Why? Because I was serving the wrong master. Right? I was serving the wrong master. And so I wanted to add that to the component here of what we're talking about, is that people, when you get obsessed with the right outcome, all of your activities become clear. If it's about the Louis Vuitton purse, then where are you going to want to show that? You're going to want to show it at a club, right? You're going to want to wear the right dress. You're going to want to be with the right crowd. When it becomes about wealth, you don't give a crap about any of that stuff anymore. It becomes, can I look at the dictionary and all of the worth and the value of the words that I could learn by learning more words out of the dictionary, so that I can become, like Sophie said, she said it so perfectly clear, the truest and most underserved ability of anyone on the face of the planet right now is communication, because we do this and we're stuck in a screen. Being able to have a conversation, to influence people, to move them, to be able to get your business going, to be able to use your words in a way that builds wealth for you, right? Freedom is what everybody is after, and we have no idea how to define it. That's an epidemic failure that we have right now.
It is. And, I was thinking earlier as I was preparing for this that, we have a pandemic with COVID-19, but we have a pandemic with human trafficking. We really do. It is a worldwide pandemic, and we need to be concerned. And so what we need to do is listen to the advice that we're getting here today from like Jason Cisneros. And Jason, you are so awesome, and I'm just so proud of you. I'm glad that I'm around you. What I tried to do was to surround myself with people like Jason, like Dr. Bob, like Dr. Sophie, like Latina, like Jody and Layla. And so that I could learn from them and become a better person as a result of that. Surround yourself with the people you want to be like. And it doesn't mean that, like Jason said, wealth is not just financial. There's so much more pleasure from actually helping another person and putting a smile on somebody's face, or handing a homeless guy a hamburger or something and he hasn't eaten.
Right.
great things to do. And to be able to just let everybody know that it doesn't matter what you did, I still love you and it's okay. We'll try and help you. It's a beautiful thing. And so that's what we want. Layla, now, what would you suggest to the viewers with respect to the message to the children?
Everybody's points have been brilliant, and to just go off what Jason just said, in the opposite, I would say the traffickers have become masters at mirroring what you need and reading your personality. So there's three primary sort of types that I categorize, which is the CEO trafficker, the Romeo trafficker, and the guerrilla trafficker, and those can be interchanged from one person in different phases of the same operation to capture this child or this person that they're hunting. And so the CEO, pimp or trafficker or rapist, hunter, whatever you're going to call him, says maybe this person needs to hear they're going to be an au pair, or this is going to help them with their modeling career. And then other people, like I went to high school in DC in a very public high school, and even my teacher was one of the predators. And like, how do you have enough self-esteem to say, wait, why is this guy saying I love you right away? He doesn't love me. He doesn't know me. Like, this guy doesn't love me. And to have the discernment but there's many other signs. So having the self-worth, and then knowing that these people will play to your emotions, doing the self-defense class, and getting involved with one of the nonprofits and learning more and becoming part of the solution. So those are my three suggestions.
That's excellent. Be part of the solution. That's why I did this panel, is to try and bring some solutions and to bring some awareness and recognize that it can happen to anybody and we just need to be careful. And we've been getting some excellent advice here. We've got about 10 minutes left, and I want to move now to I want to move to Latina, how you feel that you are going to make an impact in your community with respect to the children, because this is really who we need to target. That's where the main focus is, 10 to about 17 years old. Those are the main targets. And it can be, and I saw a question earlier or comment, is it just women? No, it's not just women. It's women and boys. But tell us, Latina.
In our capacity, my first initial thought is I'm definitely going to reach out to everyone on this panel. If I haven't already connected with you, you will hear from me soon. So I'm glad Jason opened that door for me to run anyways, as I was coming your way. With that being said, building the network, building the connection is great. But as I've mentioned, my community is lacking the awareness. It seems like a norm. So for me, one of the things I really want to get into is connecting with the universities. Florida is a hot spot. I used to do a lot of recruiting with Florida State, FAMU, TCC, University of South Florida, University of Central Florida. Did a lot of career fairs, right? So if I have the ability to sit in front of over 150 different universities to talk about how to go to school, which COVID has pivoted, right? I want to get right back in front of my college students, in front of my teenagers who may be identified as high risk, but the reality of it is somebody is messing with me, or I lack food, or I don't have the resources to do what you're asking me to do. The printer is not at my house, it's only at school. So where she speaks, our goal is to find solutions to educate, to engage, to provide awareness, and to create relationships that will allow my youth my next generation to build bridges and pathways to understanding what it is to go through these situations and to be able to identify them. This is part of my first step. And this setting, I'll be honest, I don't think there's anybody in my community that has seen such a panel. Just being honest.
You know, and the important factor I think that you said is you need to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because if you don't ask for help, you're not going to get any help. You're not going to get any support. Reach out to She Speaks Solutions. Reach out to the LWN Live with Nature Foundation. Like I said, we're opening a referral center here that's going to be a template that we plan to take to every city in the country and to the world, showing people that there is resources, and ultimately these transformation centers are going to be right there to have people go into a program so that when they walk out, they're totally functional. And we've helped them from a complete holistic standpoint. We have about 1 minute left for each of the speakers. Okay, so let's go to Dr. Sophie, please. And if you just have some closing thoughts, we're down to about 8 minutes. I want to get everybody a last moment here just to say the last thoughts.
I'm sorry, you were breaking up for me.
Okay.
Did you mention my name?
Yes, I did. Let's go to Dr. Sophie. You've got about a minute, Dr. Sophie. I know it's not a whole lot of time, but if you can just have a closing thought for our viewers.
Yes. From an perspective,
You can't.
You're on
She's muted.
mute.
You're on mute, Sophie. Sophie, you're on mute.
There you go, Dr. Sophie.
There you
You're
go.
back.
Okay, I'm back.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. So from a neuro-linguistic programming perspective, delivering a message for a child by telling them, don't talk to strangers, we are actually not bringing them in and pulling them into our command. And on a subconscious level, they will take that more as a challenge, and they want to be more curious about it, and they want to find out why my parents are saying that, and they might want to challenge that and actually do it. But instead, if we can tell them, before you go anywhere, just come and ask for permission. And let me know where you're going. You see, that would bring it in a little bit more effective way. The way we use our words is going to be very, very important, especially with rebellion children who always feel like you're trying to control their life and tell them what to do and not to do. And they're already, at that, where we want to find an escape with their friends and their peers to identify with their language better. But also for the adults, the parents, to have more awareness on how to communicate. Again, like Jason, you emphasize on that because it's so important. It is the key for everything, including the predators themselves. If they had better communications, they might have had not been in that space of what they're doing themselves. So that would be...
I don't mean to cut you off, but we just really are down on time.
Yes.
Dr. Sophie, feel free to reach out to Dr. Sophie. I think we've got her information in there as well. Okay, let's go to Jason. Can you please have a final thought here for us, Jason? We really love you. You've been very informative tonight. Thank you so very much.
It's my pleasure. It's been an honor to be with all of you. I can't wait to connect outside of this because there's strength in numbers. My parting shot is simply this. It's that traffickers, for the purpose of the show, thrive on weakness, right? Weakness in all of us comes from doubt. And whether we belong, whether we're loved, right? My strength comes from God, Jesus Christ as his son. And it's a power that is beyond any force on this earth, right? Like Paul in prison was freer than his captors, right? That is a power. And I believe that if we could let people know their worth by letting them know that God is their dad, that was a powerful connection for me, right? Is to know that my dad is the one that made all of the stuff, right? He made all the air, he made the sea, he made the fish, he made all of it. And he gave his most precious gift to you, right? His son, so that we could all be there. So my parting shot is to go to a church, find a pastor, read the Bible, do something, because that power is in all of us. God gave you are a very individual a seed that was meant for a purpose, right? No matter what you do with a peach seed, it's going to always be a peach, right? And you are powerful, you are strong, you are capable of more than you know. And once you get in touch with that, you're 100% never going to doubt again.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. And Dr. Bob?
Yes. I want to say
wisdom in 30 seconds if you can.
Yes. I want to say, Jason, Sophie, Layla, Jody, and everyone here, She Speaks Solutions.
Yes.
Reach out because the support is there. These are powerful people, and I'm glad to be now associated with each and every one of them. So reach out, get the support that you need, and if you're feeling less than, find a way of building it up. You know, Jason hit it right on the head. So every one
Just
of you
reach out and ask for help.
Yes.
That's the important factor. Jody, your final thought.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much again. Humbled and honored to be on a panel with all of you amazing people. And I kind of want to echo Jason and what he was saying. And that is, if you need healing, also Jesus is the one to go to, because I wouldn't even be here today. I would have taken my life. I would have been done for if it wasn't for him. So I'm so thankful for that. And I want to say to parents, be a parent, not a friend. Social media is a dangerous zone. It's a dangerous playground. And if your kids are public, you probably have traffickers watching them. TikTok and different things like that, they're all about followers, and they always want the numbers to go up, but you've got to be careful who's watching your kids, because I'm telling you, these traffickers will make them seem like they're your best friend in the whole world and trustworthy. So
yeah, unreal. And Layla.
Thank you. Also honored to be here, and I'm just going to use this moment to say, for the last year, we've been working at Rise of the Butterfly super diligently to create an eco-friendly clothing line with made in America, fair wages, ecologically sourced materials, really trying to see the whole operation, and 100% of the proceeds are going to survivors of trafficking. And we're also open to sharing 50% of those proceeds with other nonprofits to create a win-win and offer a resource to anyone out here who's wanting to help. And, you know, if you do have a moment and you can get a piece and tag yourself in it, and we can flood social media with truth and with answers and solutions, so that you know, we should do this in bus stations and on school plate menus, wherever you can add the voice and the truth and the awareness. Let's do that together. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, all of the panelists. You are so awesome. I appreciate everybody that came today to share your wisdom with the viewers. Viewers, it's a serious situation. Help us put an end to it. You can donate to, any one of our organizations. The money's going to go to help survivors. Okay, we're going to carry this conversation forward. We've got more videos coming up on Monday, tomorrow. Join us. Jody Parr will be with us 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to carry it forward on the Town Hall Get to Know broadcast, and the other panelists will be on that show as well. So please come back. We're here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We love it, you all. Thank you so very much. God bless you, the viewers and the panelists. Thank you. Have a great Sunday, what's left of it. Thank you so very much, and we'll see everybody soon.